And welcome back to Adobe Live on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon/morning, depending on where you are joining us from. My name is Tim, and I'm delighted to host the one and only tall, handsome, and good-looking. Oh no, Russell is here. Sorry, different guest.
No, it's a different guy because I've got pictures of us next to each other, and there's no way I'm tall.
Oh, that's right.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. We had a bit of a challenge just a second ago. I was in the studio, which is just over there, a couple of blocks away, and the internet went out. You know, the show must go on, Tim.
Classic.
So I bundled everything up and I ran down 2 flights of stairs and I ran across I looked like playing Frogger getting across Halberstedter Strasse. And now I'm back up here. So we're live. We're doing this.
Yes.
But I've forgotten everything I was going to show today in the process of doing that.
Well, that's good. I think we can find out together, maybe with the help of the chat, because, nice segue, we're not alone today. We are joined, as always, by a wonderful audience. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you're watching this on YouTube, and that's fine. But you should definitely join the chat on Behance, which is on be.net/Adobe Live. Once again, that's be.net/Adobe Live. And you can join the wonderful people such as, let's see who's in the chat. We have Andreas, Guten Tag, Angus, and Caroline, and Dimitri, and Doris, and Gareth, and Julia. I don't know who that is. Kirsty, and
It's
Oliver.
It's the regular group. Hi, Julia.
And Sandrine, and Tim, weird guy, and Unicorn. So
Are we on there?
I mean, I'm in there, apparently. Along with Gilana.
I'm not on there.
But I think I have to ban myself because that guy's already writing weird comments. Oh well. Right, so back to you for just a moment because I've heard you are going to be talking about InDesign in the stream today. Is that right?
I was told to. I was ordered by Adobe. They said, we're going to have you on Adobe Live, but you have to talk.
Yeah, I'm terribly sorry about that.
Very forceful about this. Oh, I love InDesign, so it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, that's good.
But, yeah, so I thought I would start out a little slow, Tim, a little slow today.
That's good for me, yeah.
And then, we'll get into it. And then I thought I'd slow it down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought somewhere towards maybe halfway, 2/3 through, we'll just fade out.
But only if we can maybe take a break,
What do you think?
a breather in between, just to calm things down.
Let's take a breather. We don't want to, No, I have some fun stuff to show. Well, I think it's fun. So we're going to show some InDesign stuff that I like. It's all about me.
Well, that's good. Because I think if you like something, we're bound to like it as well.
We'll see. I thought I'd start out with a couple new things that just came out last week.
Okay.
That we saw, and play with those just a bit. Show you a couple things that we can do, and can't do. That's always the way it works, isn't it? When you get a new feature, you're like, "Oh, this is awesome! I'm going to do this." No, it doesn't do that. So, but it does do this. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to go old school, and I'll show you a bunch of stuff that's been around for quite a while, but that just allows you to do some really cool production stuff.
That sounds fantastic. And as someone who doesn't touch InDesign a lot, I'm excited to see even the old stuff because it will be new to me.
You don't use InDesign?
No, not too much.
Well, good. Yeah, I think
maybe after the stream. Well,
so one of the themes I want us to keep in mind today, after we get past this new stuff, is that I always think in terms of large documents. And to some people, a 24-page catalog is a large document. I'm on deadline right now. This week, we're finishing a document that right now is around 2,000 pages. And so when you start building large documents, some of the tricks that you use to build a 1-page or 2-page document just don't work. When at deadline, they say, hey, we need to change this. You want to be able to make those global changes. And so that's what we're going to be doing a lot of today, is really cool ways to build that allow you to build faster and edit quickly.
Fantastic. So I no longer have to sit around in Microsoft Word and try to format an image inside of the text and break everything along the way.
Right. So can we start, or do you have more announcements?
No, I'm good. Other than let's do this.
Do you need to tell the studio audience where the bathrooms are or anything?
Emergency exits might be behind you. Keep your seat in upright position. and check under the
Okay.
seat for emergency font manuals, which will help you in emergency.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd start out with style packs because when I first heard rumor of style packs, I was really excited because I had in my brain what they would do. And then when I installed the software and tried to apply them, I was quite disappointed because they didn't do what I envisioned. But then I started playing with them and I saw that they can be pretty powerful. So can we start with that, Tim? Style packs?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, what we saw on Adobe Max, if you saw this, what they did was they took some text and they came up with this tool under styles called Style Packs. There it is, Style Packs. And it's this panel of pre-designed stuff. And, you know, I'm not a designer, Tim, but I'm looking at it and I was a bit underwhelmed by the choices that were there. So my first reaction was, oh, okay. But then I thought, let's see what happens let's see if it works like they showed on the infomercial. So I'm going to take some text. I put a text that might be seen as a headline, and here's a subhead, and here's some text. And supposedly, this has some artificial intelligence built in that is content aware. Like it's supposed to know this is the headline, this is the subhead, this is body copy. It's supposed to be able to even see if there's a bullet list and whatever. So okay, let's see what happens when I go over here and I click on one of these style packs. Well, it has to download it. You'll see this little download, little cloud on the download icon. So that might take a second. They're all using Adobe fonts. So if the fonts aren't activated, it supposedly will activate them for you. And I say supposedly because in my initial testing, there were some fonts that got hung up and I had to go into Adobe fonts and activate them manually. But as you can see, it decided that was the headline, but it didn't do a good job with this kicker line or this, we'll call it a subhead, even though it's an Uber head or whatever you're going to call it. And this is the body copy. And if I click on another one, takes it a second to download, and there's this choice, okay? Mm-hmm. And we can just scroll on through and there you go. So you can see this one now, it's missing the fonts, it's highlighted in pink. And now we just have to wait for it to activate those fonts, okay? And I'm not going to, again, I'm not gonna wait. I have too much to show today. But that's the concept, is when you click on one, if the fonts aren't there, it should activate them automatically. If it doesn't, go to Adobe Fonts, download them.
Right.
Or go have a cup of coffee, and maybe when you come back, it'll be ready. So I'm going to close out of style packs because it just didn't do much for me. Okay. But then I went over here to paragraph styles, and I saw that it actually added these style packs for me. And we have these neat little folders now with lightning bolts.
I mean, that's good.
I like that. Love it. Yeah. So now that I've used them once, they're already over here for me that I can use again. Now, when I went here to the style pack, when I had the style packs panel open, I'm just going to do a dramatization of my first experience when I first was playing this. I wanted to create my own style pack, and I went to the style packs panel, and there's no flyout menu, and there's just nothing here. There's just nothing, and right clicking does nothing. And so my initial reaction was, I can't create my own style packs, but that's not true. In the paragraph styles panel, I can create a new style pack. Also, you can take a style pack that's there, and if you notice the these pre-made style packs have the same paragraph styles: heading, subhead, paragraph list, and ordered list, over and over again. Well, for this to work, you have to have a formula to it, okay? I'm gonna try it again on one of these. Let's just take, this is now 3 separate boxes. Let's just see if that does any better. Let's choose that one and see what it does.
Drum roll, please.
Nope, kind of did the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of did the same thing. Yeah, but I want to show that it works with separate boxes as well as, you know. Now, if I put this back on none, which is what I meant to do, let's do that again. So this is just the default setting. I'm just going to choose one. Watch what happens when you make the separate boxes. Notice that we have overset text in
Right.
the one box
Yeah.
because it's applying the headline and it's too big for it. Okay. So I'm going to do a lot of jumping around today. So if you guys are taking notes, which I don't know if you are now, but if you're taking notes, get a wide piece of paper so you can take my random tangent comments and put them in the right bucket. Okay. And the buckets are paragraph styles or text styles, paragraph character styles, object styles. We're going to talk about object styles a lot, and other junk. That'll be the third button where I just randomly talk about whatever I want to talk. So I want to just switch gears just briefly to introduce object styles and how they can play a role in this, okay? Because this doesn't do you any good to change style packs if you're going to have to keep getting overset boxes and constantly have to resize them, okay? So one thing you can do, just a quick little tip, we'll just throw this out there, is you can create a new object style, okay? And I actually created one called fit. I'm going to throw that away. Let's create a new one. Let's deselect everything. New object style. And I'm going to call this style pack fit. Why not? And the only thing I'm going to do is turn on auto size, width, height, and keep proportional. That's all I'm going to do. Okay. And I can choose to have it do it from the middle or the top or whatever. I'm just going to leave it in the middle for just this demonstration. So now if I select all of these and I apply that style pack fit, it'll grow the boxes
Ooh.
with the formatting changes that we do. So it just kind of helps you a little bit to, if you're going to use these style packs, to remember that we have this auto size and you can apply an object style without changing the formatting of the text inside. And so that might be a good little tip. Select all, apply the fit object style, then play with your style packs.
And also,
Okay?
talking about style packs, you can also, if you copy and paste text from another program or app like Word, you can also auto-style that text when you paste it, as long as it has above 1,000 characters. You can paste it into InDesign, and there's an option for you to auto-style it based on the style pack, which is quite
and
fun.
you can, okay, cool. Well, I'm not prepared to show that today, Tim. So we're going to move on. I'm going to ignore what you just said, but I'm going to write it down and I'll play with that later. So if you'll notice that because these styles are the same name, you don't have to stick with these. So if you don't like them or you want to edit them or you want to take ownership of it, you could rename this one, but you have to keep the style colon in there. Okay, so I'm going to select it like that, right? All right. Right. And then now I've got a unique style pack to this document. And I can go in here and I can do one of two things. I can either right click, edit the heading and double click on it. Or if I want, I can go in here and just change it. So for example, let me move this zoom thing out of the way. Let me go to swatches and just change the color to a purple. Okay, there we go. And if I go to the paragraph style for that, there's that plus, and I just redefine that style. And now I can go through and I can make this style pack uniquely mine. So you can edit their style packs after they're in here, or you can create your own. All right. Now let me give you an example of where we might use a style pack. I did a show on Digiversity Live. Yuli and I did a show last week or a couple weeks ago about building ads faster for newspapers. And this wasn't out yet. This would have been perfect on there because you could actually set up a template with a bunch of styles that you're going to use because you're just throwing an ad together for the local, bakery or the high school homecoming parade, and you just need something quick. If you have those pre-done, you could do something like this. Let me go to this flyer. Okay, Yulia designed this flyer for our live show tomorrow night. And she gave me 3 designs because I can't decide. So all I have to do is Command A to select all the text. And I can click on these style packs. There's 1, there's 2,
Ooh.
and there's 3. Okay, so you actually, and if we open those up, you can see that she's not using the ones that come in the style pack. You don't have to. You can create your own nomenclature for what you want them. The trick is that they have to be the same so that it knows to map to that. Okay,
right.
now some of these designs you might later want to move this up, or move this over, or you might have to do some minor changes. But the idea of hitting Command A and quickly going kind of like that, I kind of like that, I kind of like that, and being able to choose is a great way to work. And if you have a library of these that are designs you like and you build them into your template, you're very quickly able to, especially even if you're on brand, you could have multiple designs that are still on brand for your company and select all and click one and go, we're going with that one for this case. So you can customize these style packs and have a lot of fun. And then for even more fun, you could do things like, we could have multiple backgrounds on different layers, so that I could not only change with style packs very quickly, select all and change the text that's on there like that, but then I can go to layers and maybe swap out the background for something else. Okay.
And Sandrine says
now,
more automation equals more procrastination. And Julia is very happy about her own style packs, and she says she's now a super user.
She is, and I want to point out one other thing that I think that anybody in the room watching, let's do a quick test. Looks like, hold on a second. Let me go to layers and let me unlock the graphics. I want to do a quick test of something because I thought this worked, and then I'm second guessing myself. Okay. Hold on a second. I want to unlock everything. So unlock all. There we go. This is what I want to test. Let's see if this works. No, it doesn't. So yeah, it does. There we go. Okay, notice that I thought it did, and then I second guessed myself. Notice that, a lot of times, anybody who uses InDesign a lot knows that there are a lot of functions that are disabled when you have a combination of graphics and text. That's why InDesign users oftentimes have to go, click, shift click, shift click, shift click, and go through and select all of these. Or we'll put things on a layer that's just a text layer so that we can click on just that text layer. But the reason I unlocked everything is I want you to see that I also have the background selected. I have these little logos here selected. And when I go to a new style pack, it still changes the text. Okay.
That's neat. Thanks,
if you've
Adobe.
never felt that pain, that may not be a big feature, but it
like,
really is huge.
All right, whatever.
That you can have. No, yeah, I know. But to me, it's a big deal because I've spent years of my life going click, shift click,
oh dear,
shift click. So anyway,
thanks, Sensei.
So my if I had to give my overall opinion of style packs, I think they're very powerful. I want to see where these go. Again, my initial disappointment in the pre-made ones, it's kind of like my initial disappointment in anything that's pre-made. That comes already there, and you're like, okay, whatever. I like mine better, But anyway, style packs. Any questions on that, Tim, before I move on to something else fun?
Steve says, excellent, Smithers. Julia's talking about spooky beef, apparently. Sandrine is excited about your honest reviews, but I don't see any questions.
Okay, good. Let's
Angus is very
move
helpful.
on because we have a lot to cover today.
Definitely. So
Okay,
when are we
good.
slowing it down again?
So I'm going to switch to Illustrator. Switch to Illustrator for a second. Yeah. Now, anybody who's done infographics in Illustrator has probably been asked to do something along these lines. Really text heavy infographics. Okay. And I'm not going to show share for review because it's going to take too long and it doesn't fit what we're doing today. But imagine anybody who does graphics like this knows the pain of sending off a PDF or using share for review and getting in every single little type correction that comes through. And we end up spending most of our day changing V to them, and it's terrible. And if I could see a raise of hands, I'm going to guess that people on the chat have felt this pain before. So what came about with this most recent update, the ability to copy paste from Illustrator into InDesign and back, it's kind of a big deal, okay? It's kind of a big deal. So what we can do, I'm going to show you a couple reasons we may want to copy paste. Let me just start with a blank document, okay? And I'm going to draw an area text frame, and it's going to fill it with this fake text, okay? And I want to just do a mock-up with some bullets, let's say. So I want to use the new bullets and numbering feature, and that's all right. But I want individual paragraphs. Like I want that, and I want that, and I'm too lazy to hit those hard returns. I don't want to do it that way. So what I want to do is I want to go to Edit, Find and Replace. And I want to find, let's just do a period and space, and I want to replace it with an end of paragraph or a hard return. Well, this seems like a no-brainer until you start looking for it and you realize it's not an option. I can't do it. It's not an option, all right? So one of the things we can use this new technology for is if you have a lot of text in it, Illustrator, and you want to use fine change to change things, you can copy, switch to InDesign, paste that text, and now you can do all the really cool, powerful, fine changes that we have in InDesign. So I could do period, space, and change to end of paragraph, change all, right? And now I can copy that, come back to Illustrator, and paste it back in. And for whatever reason, it's buggy on the fonts, okay? It doesn't totally like all fonts, so you might have to reformat this, okay? So there's that. But anyways, there's one reason you may want to be able to copy paste, but I want to show you one that I think is kind of fun, one that I'll actually use. So Yuli designed this flyer for me, and she just gave Lorem Ipsum, and I need someone to go in and write this stuff. And Yuli is too busy. Maybe it's going to be me. Maybe I'm going to get someone else. Well, I went in here and I used paragraph styles. So let's go to Window, Type, Paragraph Styles. And I'm a big fan of styles. I'm a fan. Notice there's an intro paragraph, there's a bullets, and there's this body copy. Well, here's the bad news. When you copy from Illustrator to InDesign, it loses those styles. It'll keep the formatting, but it blows out the styles. The other thing is when you make bullets using the bulleted list feature, the new bullets in Illustrator, those don't work in the copy paste either. You have to go old school when you're making your bullets in Illustrator if you're going to go from Illustrator to InDesign and back. And that's option 8, either a tab or a space, and you need to set your first line indent, all that stuff. Okay, so those are the downsides. But let me show you. Well, I'll show you another downside while we're at it, okay? So notice that I can select this one box and copy it, and then I'll just go to InDesign here, delete that. Now, if I paste it, notice that little T shows up here in the bottom, and if I click on that, I can say, paste the formatting, and there it does. It just looks exactly like it did in Illustrator. That's awesome, okay? And I can come in here and I can edit this. So we have editable, formatted text, okay? I can make the changes, come back to Illustrator and paste it in. That's the good news.
And
watch this.
Also, by the way, the icon you just tapped on, the paste text, that's also where the auto style text will show up if the text has more than 1,000 characters.
Right, okay.
Then
I saw that the other day, and I played with it for just a minute, but I don't have a file to...
No, it's all right.
Okay, cool.
But
watch what happens when I select all 5 of these frames. I have all 5 of these text frames. If I copy and go to InDesign and paste, it thinks for a minute, and then it says, yeah, no, no, we're going to place this as an EPS. So there's that, okay? So you have to kind of do it one at a time, or maybe 2 at a time. I don't know what you're able to do, but All right, so I'm going to copy just one of them, and I'm going to go to an InDesign file that I've set up that is basically the placed Illustrator file. It's right here, okay? And I'm going to paste this right on top, and I'm going to tell it to format it, and I'll just move it right over this. And let me move in there so we can look at it. Oops. Now, because Illustrator and InDesign have slightly different type engines, okay, we're not gonna get this exactly. We'll get close, and that's all we need for what we're doing here. Like, for example, I've noticed that I need to add like about a 3 tracking there, and I need to do like a -3 there. I'm not going to get that nitty-gritty for nitpicky for what we're doing right now, because I want to show you this a bigger picture feature. Okay, so with that done, let me option drag this over. That looks pretty good right there. With that selected, I'm going to go to Object Transform Sequence again. There it is. Object Transform Sequence again. The shortcut is Command Option 4. So I'll just Command Option 4. And now I've got these across the page. And it's off a smidge, but that's okay. Right. Now I'm going to right click on the image. And I'm going to go down here to Object Layer Options and turn off that text layer. So we don't see the Illustrator text anymore. Okay, we're just seeing it in InDesign. All right, so here's the fun part. Are you ready, Tim? Are you sitting down?
Yes. I can also get my seat back.
Let me check something here first. Okay. Okay, so with these 5 frames selected, I'm going to go to Edit, in Copy, Add Selection to an Assignment, and I'll call this Digiversity.tv text. And if I want the text in a different location than the InDesign document, like maybe I want it in a Dropbox for an author or something, I can change that location. But for today, I'm just going to hit OK, and it wants to know who I am. I can't even spell my name right. I'm still getting over the run over here from, before. Okay, so now these are all in copy. So now somebody could go in here to that assignment, open it up in copy, make the edits in copy, save them, and now I can just copy paste from InDesign into Illustrator, and I'm done.
Russell, I think this is the first time somebody showed InCopy on Adobe Live.
Well, we need to do more because it's amazing. So here I am in InCopy, and I can just sit here. I will put some text here. Okay, blah 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 blah. I'll check it back in. So I can now push this out to an author, and they can fight it. If it's too long, it's not my problem. If it's too short, it's not my problem. If there's typos, it's not my problem, Tim. Are you hearing me? It's not my problem. I'm a graphic designer, okay? All I do is work with the pretty pictures, So I'm going to update that link, and you can see that there it is there, okay? And so now I just wait. I don't even have to have this document open. I just wait until someone sends me an email saying, we're done with the text. Okay, I open this up, I update the links, I copy the text, I come back to Illustrator, and now let's see what happens. Notice that it didn't paste. I hit Command V, didn't work. It's a bug. It actually does work sometimes. And let me prove that. I'm going to create a new document in Illustrator. I'm going to paste it. There's the text. You just saw it. I'll put some text here. You can see that it's formatted. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to this graphic, and now I can paste it in. So that little workaround, it's not always that way, and I think we'll see that fixed hopefully in the near future. Anyway, so what do you think of that as a workable solution for graphic designers to not have to edit this text 5 million times? Do you like that?
I certainly do. And
crickets.
The chat agrees. And
it's
also
crickets.
Says, yeah, first time for me, First I'm in copy, woohoo,
Okay.
Premiere. We need more Acrobat and more in copy, but I've been told nobody wants to see that. No, that's not true, Sandrine. And next we'll have Dreamweaver on stream. Oh, there you go. That's going to be a fun one. Coding in Dreamweaver for 2.5 hours. And no, I know it's not coding. Thank you very much. It's scripting. Ugh.
I want to switch gears now.
Well,
I want to switch gears. I showed the new stuff. I hope you liked it. But we're going to go now with stuff that we've actually had for quite a while. I want to talk about formatting text, and not just line by line, but formatting text in terms of stories, sidebars, captions, and how we can do this quickly and leave ourselves flexible for the future. So here's an example of, and I guess I didn't copy this right. I missed part of it. There's actually supposed to be a name down here. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, this is actually, I have a lot of people send me files, and I see a lot of files. And sometimes I see a lot of this where people have built things that are lots of pieces, okay? And my goal when I build a document is to always use as few frames as possible for something like this. If possible, I want to use one frame. That's it, one frame. Well, if we go back and look at this in its form, and it's supposed to have a name down here, and I'll show that in just a second. But basically, here's some text, and here's a manually drawn line under it. We can automate that. Here's another text box that's inset. We can automate that. The name formatting there in this line. We literally can create an object style or even a paragraph style that lets me just click and it's all formatted and it's in one box. It's just text box. It's just text, but we're going to use some tricks, some paragraph rules and some other tricks to create these lines under here. And so I'm going to just go over the tools we're going to use first, and then we're going to really play with some cool stuff. So the tools we're going to use are paragraph styles, obviously, okay, and the formatting of those. And within paragraph styles, there's a few things we're going to use that are really important. One is next style. This is huge, next style, because in our designs, if you go pick up any newspaper, magazine, book, we tend to be very formulaic in our designs. So we have a kicker followed by a headline, followed by a subhead, followed by a byline, followed by an email address, followed by a dateline paragraph, followed by body copy. And a newspaper is going to do that, 53 times a day. So why are we manually clicking, click, 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 click to format that, when we can use this built-in technology of paragraph styles that says, hey, by the way, the cut line headings next style is going to be this, and its next style is going to be that, and its next style is going to be that. So basically, if I take this and undo it, if I did this manually, and I have to remember, I don't even remember, there we go, cut line head, and then here's cut line, and then here's photo credit. Well, if I'm paid by the hour, that works, right? But why do it that way if I can just highlight all of this and go to the first one, which is cut line heading, right click on it and say apply cut line heading, then next style, and I'm done. Okay, so I've applied 3 styles at once. And the other tool we're going to use some more in paragraph styles, and I'll show more as we go along. But then we're going to roll that up into an object style, okay? And there are things we can do with object styles that we can't do with paragraph styles. But I just want to show you that one thing we can do with an object style, which a lot of times we use them just for photos and graphics. But look right here, it lets me apply a paragraph style. I can tell it where to start and then apply the next styles. So I can create an object style that knows it looks for text in the text box, and whatever's first, it applies. And then if there's a next style, it applies that, and then the next, and then the next, and the next. So we automate the formatting of these multiple lines. And the other things we can put in there, like I already showed, is I can put this auto size, so adjust the height only. I can tell it to be a set width, like size. I can say, yeah, I want you to be a certain size. In this case, I didn't, but in other ones I'm getting ready to show, I've actually told it you can only be one column wide. Why are we taking boxes and constantly making them fit this one column width or two column width? We can automate that so that we know when we click that object style, boom, it's done. And all we have to do is move it into position. You like that?
Yes, and Hugh Macron puts it nicely, work smarter, not harder. So I think that's a trademark of another person we also have in Adobe Live.
I think, is that McDonald's? Is that McDonald's? Work smart? No, they're just do it, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so here are some real designs that I got from a friend, and this is how it was built. So this is a box, and this is a box. This is a box, and this artwork tags along. So a lot of times what you'll see, Tim, is somebody will format the two boxes and hit Command G to group them. Okay. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the problem. And this is what I am always, well, generally, there are exceptions. I'm always trying to think ahead about these nightmare clients I've had in my career. I'm sure people watching have had nightmare clients that wait until the last minute and they say something like, hey, can you move that that little whisk there down and to the left like that? And you're now picturing this cookbook that you just did, and this art is in there 500 times, and you're picturing yourself going in there and manually moving it 500 times, okay? So whenever I work, and I'm always picturing what can they throw at me that's going to make my life hard, okay? And what can I do to avoid that? All right, so let me show you a couple things. This design is pretty straightforward. It's an arrow, wants an arrow, and then he wants this style type, and this style type, this style type, and this style type. Okay, pretty simple. But if you'll notice, this style type is the letter J. So if I were to change the font to something else, you can see it's the J. Okay, why? Because, well, some of these dingbat fonts, they take a letter on your keyboard and they make it that art there. Okay, well, already an alarm has gone off in my head. Well, what if they don't want an arrow anymore, right? I don't want to do a fine change for the letter J and change it to N, right? I don't want to do this, okay? So thinking ahead, all right, thinking ahead, what can I do to make this easier? Instead, what I did was I made this a bullet. I made this particular paragraph style. Let's look at it. I used bullets and numbering, and I assigned the arrow to it. Okay, and then I could go a step further and I can apply a character style if I need to tweak it even more. But now I've used this text box, I've used this blurb box 1,000 times throughout my cookbook. And now at the last minute, they say, you know, that arrow is just not working for us. We want something else. And now I can go find, let's just go to Webdings. All right. And let's say they want the, I wanted the alien. Where's the alien? Let's do the chili pepper. Let's do the chili pepper. You know, yeah. So now they want the chili pepper and they want it to be red. Boom. Okay, so I just applied a character style to it. And now I have just changed that art 500 times in seconds. And if I'm using the book and I'm using multiple documents, I just synchronize the object styles or the paragraph styles across all of them. And now they have a chili pepper there instead of an arrow. Whereas if I did it as a J, that's a bigger issue. Okay, you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, and the client doesn't have to know about this. They can think you did this manually.
Oh no, we charge them ridiculous amounts of hours for this. Yeah, this is the 3-day project you're asking for. I hope you know that. Yeah. So again, we always want to think ahead to them changing their mind. So this is a bullet point instead of a formatted J. Here's a paragraph style that has a paragraph rule under it that we can control. And one thing that I need to interject here, guys, is and I say this strongly, and maybe there's an excuse out there I don't know of, but never do an extra return to control the space between these lines. Never, never. Always control that with the space after or the space before. Same reason, you know, when the client calls you at deadline and says, oh, we need a little bit more space there, okay? Well, there you go. And the other rule that I have, that's a rule I have, and the other rule I have is I make an object style out of everything, okay? Because if you didn't, and they wanted to increase the spacing, now you've got overset text throughout your entire document, and you have to go and manually resize those boxes to fit.
Right.
If you've made an object style and you forgot to turn on auto size, you can always come in and still turn that on. And now as you increase the spacing between these vertically, the box is going to grow and shrink with it. Okay, so always apply an object style, even if it's just basic text. Always apply an object style, because you never know when you're going to need that text frame to grow.
Fantastic.
Okay. Right. So here's an example of, let's just take this and put this on none, and let's go to paragraph styles and put this on basic. Okay. So here's an example of where I can come in here and now I forget. There we go. And I'm one button away from that being formatted. Okay. And let's just check. I don't remember if I had this automatically size the box too. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Object style. There we go. Yeah. And it resized the box to a set width. Okay. So now that's always going to be the right width to drop into a column. Okay.
And you also asked to stop spilling all the secrets of designers. So Sandrine is asking, Russell, can you please stop leaking all the secrets, please? I'm trusting you guys because we're like family. This is like a little club and we're keeping it here. But no, do not tell other people how to do this. So this is the same thing, but I've added, there's this second element here. Okay, here's a second element. And I'm going to actually cut that. And I'm going to move it out here so you can see what I've done. So we've got this whisk art and we've got this. And well, there's no way to make them one frame, really. I mean, I guess you kind of could, but it's going to be wonky and you don't really need to. So I've got an object style for this that formats that automatically. And I've created an object style for this, okay? But for this object style to work, it needs to be an anchored object in this box. And so I'm going to grab that blue dot right there in that frame and drag it right before the C, right there at the beginning, and it adds that little marker there, that little yen, looks like a yen. So now you can see an anchor is on here. And now if I go to the object style, I have one for the whisk icon. And if I press that button right there, let me show you what it's doing. If I go to anchored objects, it's telling it to measure from that box to the outside of the frame and be offset by that amount. That's what I'm telling it to do. And here's the beautiful thing. At deadline, when they say, ooh, can you move that whisk to the left just a little bit? What do you say? What's the first thing you say, Tim? That's going to cost extra.
It's going to cost you. Yeah. So then you click on that, and then you go over here to X or Y. Okay. And now let me turn on preview. And now you can just sit here, move that to the right, move that to the left, move this down, move it up, whatever you want. But keep in mind, you're doing this to every instance of this throughout the document. Okay, cool.
Amazing.
Huh? Yeah. Cool.
You're solving problems which I didn't know I even had them, but you're already solving them.
Well, and here's another example. So he wanted this frame around this text. I'm just going to grab that blue dot, drag it right in there, and I created an object style called, what did I call it? I don't remember what I called it. Badge, right there. And boom, it aligns to that text. So now this is one, it's going to act like one object right there. Nice. Cool, huh? Okay, so I want to divert just a bit. We're going to get back to some paragraph style stuff, and because I want to show you something that Tim, if you ever want to watch my head explode, if you ever just want to see me just go crazy, just hit shift return a whole bunch in your document to make the text fit. Just do that and just watch me fume.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
I hate it. I hate it. And here's why, because forced line breaks, when you put them in there, if you want to make changes, you have to get them back out of there. Okay. And that takes time. It takes time to put them in, takes time to get them out. All right. So there are some tricks that we can do to minimize. I did some testing one time on a catalog, on an 80-page catalog, and I found that I could eliminate 97.3% of the forced line breaks that the artist had put in there just by using a few simple tricks. Okay, we just don't need them as much as people use them. Okay, is it okay if I go down that road for just a bit, Tim? And just
yeah, definitely. But before you do that, just as a quick reminder, we're about halfway through the stream, and if you have just joined us, don't forget to join us over on Behance, be.net/live, to join the chat, ask a question, and see if we can make Russell's head explode together. Add some line breaks.
The forced line break is it. That and extra returns in text does it for me too. But watch this. The reason they did this is because no reason for those two, obviously. But this brand name La Brea should be together, obviously. So they just went in here and said, let me just do a shift return. That feels good. It's together. Well, it feels good until you decide later you need this box to be wider and you want it to break in a different place or narrower. You know, in this case, it's not a bad thing. It's not the worst forced line break, but it is a problem. Okay. And we want to avoid that if at all possible, because you put them in, you got to get them out. So a couple of things to know. Number one thing that I do when I'm making paragraph styles is I didn't in this document, so always is a strong word, or did I? Didn't I? I always make a base. Yeah, I did right here, La Brea base. I always make a base, and that is what, instead of basing a style on no paragraph or basic paragraph, I always have all the styles based on this one. And I build a few things into that I know that I want pretty much general across the document. And one of those things is that I tend to turn off hyphenation. I didn't in this example for this project, but I tend to turn off hyphenation by default, because if you look at any document that you build, how many styles really need to be hyphenated, right? Body copy, bullets, things like that. But headlines, you don't want hyphenated. The list is actually longer, I think, of things we don't want to hyphenate than things we do want to hyphenate. So I always turn off hyphenation. That's because I see a lot of people, they use forced line breaks just to fix hyphenation. And that's a no. Don't do that. So number one, turn that off. Number two, one thing you can play with is under indents and spacing is balance ragged lines. A lot of people use forced line breaks to make the text more even in a box. And all you have to do is turn that on and it will automatically try to balance that for you. Okay, so between hyphenation and balance ragged lines, it fixes a lot. Okay, but I want to show you something really fun. Okay, I want to talk for just a moment about Grep styles. And usually when we talk about Grep styles, it takes about 30 seconds before somebody gets off into this other world that is so complicated, I just can't wrap my head around it. We're going to keep this Grep discussion so simple, Tim, that this is going to be usable. Okay,
that even I could understand it.
All right?
Right.
Even you could understand it. Yeah. Let me find a document here that I wanted to use. Okay, let's just do a simple one for now. Okay, let's say that the client says to you, hey, everywhere you see the word Adobe, I want it to be bold and red. Okay, well, I could highlight that text and I could go around and do it manually, right? Or I can write a Grep code. Now, one of the reasons why I use a base style is so that if I add a Grep code to the base, it adds it to all styles that are based on it. So in one place, you push it out to everything, okay? There are some styles that you want that for, like, for example, cubic meters. You want the 3 after the M to be superscripted, and you want that in everything. Well, you do it once and it pushes out. Okay. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and edit in this one place here. Here's some grep styles that I always put, just so you know. And this is going to look really geeky, so don't be intimidated by this. All right, we're going to make this really simple. But like this one right here is, don't break the text if there's a digit followed by a colon followed by a digit and a space followed by AM or PM. So if it's 10:01 AM, those will always be on the same line. All right. So there's a whole bunch of them that I just build into my text automatically. But I'm going to do a really easy one here. Okay. New grep. All right. And let's see if I have a format that I want to use. And I don't. So I'm going to go to new character style and I'm going to type bold. Simple, right? Bold. And I'm going to go to basic character formats and I'm not going to choose anything else. I'm simply going to choose bold. Okay, that's all I'm going to choose. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to tell it to look for the word Adobe. Okay.
Right.
And it looks like Avenir Light doesn't have a bold, so that one didn't work. Let's change this to something just so you can see it. I didn't test it before the show.
Those grep styles, are they unique for every document, or are they global across all documents?
So it's only in this document unless I edit the styles for other documents, either through synchronization or making it a preference or something like that. So there you go. So now the word Adobe, and if I need to add it here at the end, Adobe, the minute you do that, it's just gonna change for you. Okay, so if you're in a project and they say, hey, by the way, and you're maybe in a corporate world and the name of Adidas or whatever, you know, you want it to be bold blue italics, then I used it on a project just last week. There's a company called Energy Solutions, and there's no space, and the solutions has to be italicized. I just made it a grep, and I just told all the authors, just type Energy Solutions with no spaces. Don't worry about italicizing. It's automatic. It's done. Okay, so you can see that grep doesn't have to be hard, right? Here's a real project I did last week. I had these tables, and there were two tables that had the same header, and it went through 66 documents. So this is actually, 66 documents. So that's 122 times that I would have to go here, shift return, right? And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Sounds like a job for the
Anybody watching who's really good at grep code may roll their eyes at what I'm saying. I'm really just trying to keep this simple to say, you know, you're in a situation, what can we do? Watch this. I can take this particular style that's used there. I'm going to edit that. I'm going to go down to grep style, create a new one, and I'm going to tell it to use no break. So don't break it if it says May to September. Boom. But look over here. See, there's October, April too. I could write a second grep code, or what's this? I'm going to put the bar there, and I'm going to type April. Boom, it's done. And now all I have to do is synchronize the styles across the other 65 documents in the book. And now I've solved this problem for 122 headers in the document.
Amazing. And the intern can take a day off now. Not need it anymore.
Right. Also, so anyway, grep doesn't have to be intimidating is what I'm saying. Okay.
Your stream is so good. Apparently, some of the US stream colleagues are planning on nicking those ideas and repurposing them again for their own streams. So
they're doing what? What? No, they're not. This is all copyrighted material. Okay. So this is one of my favorite ones. This is actually, and by the way, guys, you know, a lot of trainers come in and they have these, you know, pretty assets that they use that are all theory. These are real jobs. Everything I'm showing you today is real stuff that we're doing. Here's an example, and I know you guys have felt this pain before. Watch this. What the client gave me was this. Okay, can you see this design? All right, let's zoom in, look at it. Okay, this is the design. They wanted the type touching this side, and they wanted kind of this non-uniform look. Okay, the only thing I changed was the photograph, because what they gave me had a human in it, and I don't have the permission to use that picture. So I've swapped out the picture. Other than that, this is exactly, I copied and pasted what they gave me. Okay, you with me?
Yeah.
Watch this. Are you ready?
No.
Are you sitting down, Tim? Watch this.
Huh? Huh.
It looks to me like we got this at IKEA.
Some assembly required.
Some assembly required. This is how they built this. Now, A, imagine how long it took, and B, imagine the editability of this. Imagine if somebody at the last minute said, hey, can you make those strokes 1 point instead? And can you, this is a nightmare to push across a 300-page book, okay? And by the way, this is going to be used in a 300-page book. So what I created was, let's just undo. I'm going to hit Command-Z a bunch to bring this back, okay? Now, would you agree these look alike?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I changed the text, and this is a picture I took in Happy, Texas. But other than that, it looks the same. And so what we do when we build these is we want to start with the text. So I took this text that was a box, and I took this text that was a box, and I combined them into a single box, because that's my goal, if possible, to do it as a single box, okay? So tell me if you like this, Tim. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Boom. That's done. Now, let me drop a picture in here. Let me drop a picture in here of Happy, Texas. Okay. And let's hit photo frame. Actually, let's not do that yet. Let's take this and anchor it to the Happy. Okay. And now let's hit sidebar photo, and we're done.
I like what you're doing, and I would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
So now you can see that this is one item. That's it. Okay. Now, one thing I do a lot, and I didn't in this example, but it's really fun to do. Okay. Watch this. So I'm going to actually take this, I'm going to create, I do this all the time, and I love it. So I'm going to create a new swatch called sidebar temp color. Okay. And I'm going to make it an obnoxious RGB color that no human would actually maybe use. Something as bright red as, or let's do bright magenta. There we go. Okay. So, and I'm going to go to the paragraph style that I created for this sidebar. Okay. Oh, I have an object style applied, but here's the sidebar body right there. And I'm going to go to that, and I'm going to change the shading color from lime to this sidebar temp color. Okay, so there you go. There you go. Now, why do I do that? Well, I want to show you a couple things. One, sometimes you don't want to start with two objects. Sometimes you want to take something that exists and simply edit it, right? So what I do a lot is I'll take, after this snippet's designed, and I'll export this file, export, and I'll call this sidebar snippet. I always put the word snippet in there, even though it is a snippet, because INDS is sometimes hard to see, okay? So now when I go to a totally new document, and I go File, Place, and I choose that sidebar snippet, watch what happens. It brings all the paragraph styles, all the object styles, all the swatches that we need, okay? And now I've decided for this spread, I want that sidebar to be whatever color. I simply throw temp color away, and I remap that to the yellow. And now I've got a unique color for this spread without having to go into the style and find where I did it and all that. It's just sitting right there, and you just throw it away. Cool.
And in the chat, they're still talking about how the text is right up against the edge of the box. And that's ticking the box.
That's what the customer asked for. That's what the customer gave me right there. Yeah, it's not my choice, guys. You know, I mean, I could change it. But the point is that I'm taking and replicating exactly what they gave me. You know, same with this. This is what they gave me. This is what I gave them back. Okay. So I have 30 minutes left, don't I?
Yeah.
How about I take this? Tell me if you're okay with this, Tim. This is a block of art, text art, that I actually used on a real catalog many years ago, before we had the technology that I'm showing you now. Okay. What I thought would be fun is to show you how, let me ungroup this, how I can take this, this line here, and do it in one click. What do you think?
Hopefully using
You want to see
different
that?
text. Although I do like the idea of having a just editorial headline in some catalog.
Yeah, well, you know, when I build these things, I build these templates in advance so that this stuff's ready, and all they have to do is highlight and click and make and change it. You know, save them time. But we're going to do it in a way that they've sent me something via email, and they said, "Hey, here's I want this on page 32. We're going to copy, we're going to paste it, and we're going to click a button, and it's going to be formatted." Okay. I want to show you something before I go there, because I think this is pretty cool. Here's a Grep style, and this is a complicated one. I'll show it to you. This is a complicated one, but this is where Grep can solve problems. And I'm going to throw this out for you guys, that before you dive in manually doing something, take a step back and go, can I automate this? All right, let me show you. This catalog was actually for a company called Custom Ink. Okay, and it's the word custom and the word ink, no spaces. Okay, but here's the trick. The I, the letter I, the capital I, has to be a different font than the other characters.
Okay.
Now, can you imagine typing custom ink and highlighting that I 500 times, right? And manually changing that. So what we did was we wrote a Grep code. Watch this. Custom, let me put a space there so you can see this. I, you see the I? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, watch what happens to the I when I hit the letter K. Are you ready? Boom.
Amazing. Otherwise, I would have gotten RSI just from thinking about replacing it 500 times.
Yeah, but all it is, it's a Grep code that says, look for, and it's in parentheses. So don't change this. Look for the word custom and look for the ink, and the I is all we're going to change, and we want to change it to Museo Slab 300.
So if you were to type custom link, it wouldn't change.
Nope.
All right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it has to be exact. Now you can put variables in there. For example, if I go back to this one, let's go back to where is it? Forgot one of these. Oh, here. Let's go back to this and let's type the word Adobe. Notice that it didn't change, right? Yeah. But if I go here to that Grep code, Adobe, I can actually put a slash and a lowercase a there, and it looks for. I need to put those. I can't do it that way. I got to put them in. Now it gets tricky. I think I put those in brackets. Let's do it that way. Oops, open bracket. There we go. So I told it, if it's a capital A or a lowercase a, go ahead and do it. So again, I didn't want to get that geeky today. I wanted to keep it really simple, but you know, it doesn't take many little Grep tricks. It doesn't take many for you to be able to change. For example, here's the Grep code to change anytime there's a 3 following a lowercase m, superscript it for cubic meter. And here's cubic yard, and here's cubic feet. This could, square feet. This could actually be, these two could actually be the same Grep code, just by putting the bar in there. I could go bar yard. And if it sees either of these, then it's going to superscript just the 3.
All right, that is cool indeed.
Again, I didn't want to get that geeky. Want to keep it simple.
It's way too late for that, Russell. I think
that's the lesson.
If you don't want to be geeky, you're on the wrong stream.
Anyway, back
definitely.
to this.
And also, by the way, Ruth says, I didn't know InDesign is that intelligent. well, mostly it's Russell who's that
It's
intelligent.
amazing. Yeah, it's brilliant stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do is option drag this. Actually, let's just do this. Let's option drag this down, and let's just highlight this text, and let's hit enter, and let's make this fit. Thought I pasted that.
Cubic feet.
There
Sounds
we go.
painful. Thanks, General Kenobi.
Yeah. Okay, so we got this done. Notice I'm back to one box, okay? And this uses a style called editorial head, okay? Well, I want to keep this untouched. So I don't want to I don't want to mess up these while I'm using this. I only want to use this as a visual. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go to paragraph styles. And I'm going to break the link to the style. And by doing that, this is no longer tied to the styles. So as I edit these, it doesn't mess them up, okay? So if I go to edit head, I'm going to tell it I want the next style to be editorial body. Okay, let's test it. Let's select all, editorial head, next style, and that worked. Okay, good. We got that done. And I need to add some space there. So let me go back here to editorial head, indents and spacing, and let's add some space after. I'm just eyeballing it. You know, if I were really replicating what the customer did, I'd be putting a little more effort into this, but I'm being kind of lazy. All right, there we go. So we got that. We could go up here and check. Hey,
pretty good.
actually kind of nailed that, didn't I? Almost. Not bad. Okay, so now the fun stuff. We have to decide now, do I want to do this box and the lines on the headline or on the body? And there's not always a wrong answer. My gut tells me I want to do this on the body because this bar is coming down here and across here. It makes sense to me that I change it on the body. Okay. So I'm going to go to editorial body, right click on it and choose edit. And we have some cool options here that came about in the last few versions. And one of them is, let's do the paragraph border and turn that on. And you can see that it puts this border around the paragraph because that's what it says it's going to do, right? Paragraph border. No false advertising here.
Clues in the name.
And I'm going to make that like 0.5 and I'll make it the cyan, okay? But I don't want on the right or the bottom. So I'm going to unlink those and I'll put that at 0 and I'll put that at 0. There we go. So we're getting closer. Down here under offset, I'm going to offset the top. I'm going to leave them linked because on the right side, it's extending beyond and I want that. You see how that goes there and that goes there and I want that look. So I'm going to go ahead and leave them. Otherwise, if I wanted them flush with that, then I would leave these at 0. You with me?
Yeah. And those are always absolute values. They're not relative if you scale something up or down. Like if you want to change the scale of the text.
If you scale Command Shift, I think you could scale those with it. But if you just resize the box, then it won't scale. Okay. All right. Well, that looks good enough for what we're doing right now. I think I'm going to want a little bit more space after. So let's go to edit, indents and spacing, and let's add just a little bit more there. Okay, back to this. Has everybody fallen asleep?
No, they're definitely chatting, but now they're talking about Bridge and the batch renaming in Bridge and where the fun begins.
Oh, that's one of my next favorite things. I love batch renaming. Now, check this out. This needs to go a little to the left, and this is pretty centered the way it is. So I'm going to now unlink that, and now I'm going to take the left offset, and I'm going to send that out just a little bit more like that. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to paragraph shading and turn that on, and I'm going to change the color to cyan and the tint to 100, and that's definitely not what we want, right?
Oh, dear.
So in this offset, this is where I'm going to play with this. I'm going to unlink this, and I'm going to take the bottom, let's say, and bring this up. And I don't have numbers for this because the math doesn't it doesn't necessarily have numeric values that you can do. You got to kind of just eyeball it here. So let's just do that for now. And let's take the right side here.
I would have never thought about doing it like that, using the text shade, the paragraph shading. I would have probably tried to anchor like a rectangle to the text somehow.
Like I did earlier, the anchored object I was doing.
Yeah. And also the chat, by the way.
I think for what we're doing right now,
they're saying mouth open, watching in awe, and Caroline is concentrating. Julia's taking notes. So definitely.
So now I'm going to make an object style. New object style, editorial, headline. I tend to name things the same. You know, like I tend to make the object style name something that makes sense so you can find the paragraph style. And I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to auto size and tell it height only from the top. And if I knew the width, if this was always going to be this width, if that was part of it, I have two choices. Okay. One is I can go up here to size and position options, and under size, I can say width only and be this, let's just make it a nice even number, 23p. I can tell it that. The other option we have, and this is something we do with magazines and newspapers a lot, really powerful stuff, and that is under text frame general options. Instead of having the columns be a fixed number with the object style, I can tell them to be a fixed width. And what happens is it automatically makes the frame that width, that many columns. But as you widen or narrow the frame, it will reduce or increase the number of columns automatically for you. You don't have to do anything. You literally resize it and it goes boom, 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 boom. Oh, you need 5 columns now. Boom, there you go. It's just incredible. But for what we're doing today, I'm going to use this size, because it's not multiple columns. It's just one column of text. Okay. So let's put that on none. Let's put that on none. Let's make this bigger like this. Let's even make it just that. Let's just go crazy. Now, when I'm ready, all I have to do is go find editorial headline, and I'm one click away. Option, one click, because there we go. It looks like I messed up that box a little bit when it tried to size that. I'm gonna have to play with that. Why is it doing that? I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, maybe, let's just see. There we go. Okay, in this instance, it has to be a set amount of text. You would have to play with that. So in this case, because this is going to vary. See, I actually did this on purpose, Tim.
Of course.
I did this on purpose because I wanted you guys to see what it's like in my world. Okay, so if I add text, you can see that having it tied to the body was a bad decision for me. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to editorial body. I'm going to go to shading, and I'm going to turn that off. And the reason is the body is a variable, right? Mm-hmm. We want this bar over here to grow as the text grows, right? And we want it to get smaller as the text gets shorter, right? So we're going to leave that in the body. But that square, we don't want it to stretch. So guess where I'm going to put it? In the head. So I'm going to go to editorial head. Now I'm going to turn on shading. And we don't necessarily have to watch me do the exact same thing, but that is what I'm going to do, is take this and play with the offset. So let's make it go down this time. Let's go make the bottom go down like that. There we go. Let's make the top go down like that. Bring the bottom back up just a bit. Now let's go to the left. And let's take to the right. What did I do? Like minus 23 before, something like that. There we go.
Yeah, close enough.
Okay, so now you can see that we're back where we were. We had the same look, right? But here's the difference. Because it's tied to the headline, because the headline is always going to be one line. There we go.
Lovely.
So it's really important when you build these that you want to find out what are the consistencies, what are the variables. For example, this right here, okay, this one right here, I asked the client, this is always going to be one line, which doesn't matter. But what does matter is for me to build this, this has to be one paragraph.
Yeah.
And so I always ask these questions. Is it going to be one paragraph, two paragraphs, three? And there's no right answer, but what I have to do is find out so that I know how to build it. So I want to show you that it's one paragraph. And here's the other trick. Here's the other thing is this is always going to be on a white background. I asked him, is it going to be on a colored background? And the answer was no, it's always going to be on a white background. Because watch what happens if it's on a colored background. See, it's an illusion. Ooh. It was an illusion. It was a trick. It was a trick because there's no way to have the border break there. So what I did was I used the border feature, and then for this body copy, I used a paragraph rule that's white, that's thicker than that, that's a set width. And so it masks it out basically. And as long as it's on a white page, it looks great.
Oh, bamboozled again.
Right? Yeah. So if they were to say to me, if he said to me, well, you know, Russell, sometimes it'll be white, sometimes it'll be blue, sometimes it'll be purple. I got to rethink this. Yeah. And sometimes I have to say, sometimes I just have to say flat out, well, you can't have it. I can't automate that. I can't do it automatically. And, you know, which when I design something, if it can't be automated, I don't design it. Like if somebody said, hey, I want this, yeah, you're not getting that.
You can't do that. It's not possible.
Can't have it. Can't have it. Yeah, sorry, InDesign doesn't have that feature, you know. So I always try to come up with a way to automate the building so that I have all that flexibility built into it. Anyway, what do you think?
Well, I'm certainly amazed. And I was wondering where I could see more of you and your amazing tips and tricks. Maybe you have like a...
Well, Digiversity TV, you know, Yuli and I do the live show, and then we also have the library of videos. And so I do a lot of work. I perform at Caesar's Palace in Vegas a lot. I do this on stage there, but it's a lot more elaborate there, you know, dancing,
that must be a crowd
music,
favorite.
fireworks.
Woo, InDesign.
It's big. It's big. You know, first there's the Elvis impersonator, and then the Sinatra impersonator, and then they bring me on, and then I show this stuff. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Well, I always thought that was just you with a wig. I didn't know those were separate people.
No,
just you with a paragraph style of Elvis.
It's a troupe. It's a troupe. TROUPE. It's a troupe. So I have 12 minutes left.
That's right.
And I've really just kind of scratched the surface. I haven't talked about nested styles. I haven't talked about, and I'm going to do that now just real quick. Let me just open up a document here, just because I feel like if I don't cover nested, I'm not doing my job here.
And while you're finding a document, just like to remind everybody that if you're watching this on YouTube, then come on over to Behance, because on Behance, there's an info tab, and in the info tab, you will find a link to the Digiversity TV Behance channel where you can watch all the other streams with Russell and Julia. So yeah. Right,
okay,
back to you.
So here's an example. Here's an example of something that you see a lot where we have mixed formatting in the same sentence, right? And so if we go back to the old days, the old Cork Express days, right? You might have something formatted like this, and you would have to go into the character styles, and you would have to highlight that and then apply that character style. And then you would highlight those and apply that character style. And you would do that over and over and over and over again. Okay. Well, this isn't new at all, guys. We've had this for at least 100 years. I don't know. A lot. We've added a lot. Is this nested styles. And basically what we do is we create a style that pulls in character styles based on the rules that we tell it. So if I go back to paragraph styles to this this style called wild rating right there, what it's doing is under nested styles right there, I'm telling it to be this character style, start out with this character style, and be that through or up to however many, and I just typed a colon in there because that's what I'm using is right there, colon. When you see that colon, switch to the character style called rating and stay that way through the end, okay? So basically, this character style is webdings, okay? It's webdings, it's the comma, right? And then this character style. So if I take that colon away, it doesn't know to change. See, it needs that colon, it needs that trigger. So once I put that in there, then it changes. If I put the colon here, well, it changes, but it doesn't work. It doesn't look right. Okay, so it's this nested styles, and what you can do, right? So like on the documents that I work on, a lot of authors like these. They like these run-in headers where the first few words are bold, right? And then it gets light. They just kind of want to have that emphasis at the beginning. Well, one thing you can do, and this is really important to know this, I think, if you're going to use nested styles, one, you can be none up to, or you can be bold through the colon and then be none. And if you're none, then it just pulls from whatever you have up here, okay? And there's a lot of situations where you don't know if it's going to be a colon, a dash, or an end dash, right? Or whatever. And you can put them any of those in here. And the first one of those that it sees, so InDesign's reading the document, they're reading that sentence, and if they see a colon, it'll change. If it sees a dash, it'll change. If it sees an end dash, it will change. It will only change on one. Like you can't type the word the and have it look for the word the. All right, let's do a quick quiz. If I type the word the, what is InDesign going to look for and what's going to make it change?
Well, if I were to guess, I would say it would look for the first T, and if it can't find that, for the first H, and then for the first E.
That is correct. That is correct. So we have this flexibility to put colon, dash, end dash, or whatever. And you also have, some other options here, like it actually knows the difference between a letter and a digit. So you could say be none up to one digit and then be bold. So it would actually read the content, and the first number it sees, it'll switch to bold for the phone number or for the time or whatever. So you can do some really powerful formatting with nested styles within the paragraph styles, within the object styles. Yeah. Okay.
That's very clever.
Really quickly, I'm not going to go too deep in. Well, I don't think I have time to go there. I said in the write-up to you, I was going to cover table styles and how I link to Excel spreadsheets, and so that if people edit the Excel spreadsheets, when they update those, I just bring them in InDesign and the data is updated and the formatting's there. Sadly, I'm not going to have time for that because I want to show you in the closing 5 minutes we have. I just want to do a quick overview of some of the other reasons we use styles. Can I do that?
Definitely. And also we have, if you need to, we can go over the time just a bit, 10 minutes or so if we need extra time.
So one of the first things that one of the things that happens when you build catalogs, for example, and this will also happen, this happens everywhere. Catalogs is just an example. Picture a catalog, Tim, that's 200 pages, okay? And it's, a typical catalog where it's got the product name, product description, the SKU, the price, the stuff that you see in a catalog, okay? So I was working on a catalog. It was like a 120-page catalog. And I was on this conference call and somebody said, man, it sure would be nice. It would be nice if we could get a report of all the SKUs in the document so we make sure that we placed everything. I said, I can give you that. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. Okay. Well, guess how I did it, Tim? Layout.
Yeah.
Table of contents. Yeah. So I go to the table of contents and I create a new table of contents that's never going to show up in the book. And I create a style and I go over here and I tell it to find all instances of activity title, for example. I don't even care about the formatting because I'm not going to show it to anybody. I'm going to put it in an Excel spreadsheet. And now I hit OK. And now I can say layout, table of contents, activity title. Yeah, let's hit OK. And it gives me this text box. So let's just create at the end here a blank page so we can see this. And now I just hit that, and there's a list of all of the activity titles that are formatted with that style and what page it's on. So now I basically take this, and because there's a tab there, I just go to table, convert text to table, boom, there's my spreadsheet. I export this as a text spreadsheet. Actually, I can copy paste this into Excel right now, and then I save it as an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm the hero because I've just given them a report with their 1,000 product list in there and what page it's on. And they can search for duplicates. They can search for omissions. So table of contents is huge, but it only works with styles. So if you're not using styles in a certain way, you know, like for example, if you're using this activity title also for this, but then doing an override to make it look different, well, that's not going to work. So when you plan your styles, you want to think ahead on how else am I going to use this? You know, this is a perfect example where I took every single one of these and I gave a report in, well, you saw how long it took me, right? Yeah. Seconds. And I now give you a report of what page these are on. Okay, so table of contents, not just for a table of contents that's going to show up in the front of the book, but also doing these kinds of indexing, let's just call it that for lack of a better term. So table of contents is one. The other one is, and I'm sure you guys have done find change before, okay? There's find change, and there, you know, there's Grep find change, and we can look for glyphs and other things. But this is what I want to show you, and even though you know this, I'm going to throw it out there, that you can tell it to look for certain things, right? Find the word Tim and change it to Tom or whatever, but you can tell it to be really specific. Only do it in any paragraph style that is wild rating, or only use a character style that is bold. Look in the entire document for anything that's bold and change it to whatever. Okay, so you can go in there and really, and you can also select nothing here, and you can say, go find all instances of body, or let's do character style. Let's go to all instances of activity text character style and change it to whatever else character style, or put it on none because you don't want it formatted. So you can take, somebody went through and did all this character styles. You don't have to manually go through. And what gets really powerful is right here, you can tell it to search all documents. The project I'm doing right now, Tim, I'm up to about 150 separate documents. I literally open all of them and I can do a find change across all of them. And now I've done this global fix in literally minutes. We had an instance last week where there was a solicitation number that was used throughout every document, and they just now noticed that it didn't have hyphens in it. So it was like LC space, SOL space, and then digits. So I wrote a grep find change, and I opened all 150 documents, and I didn't just tell it to look for that. I told it to look for it only in a particular style because it was only used there. So I didn't have to risk it messing anything else up. And I could do this global find change across 150 documents because I chose all documents. It's just massive what you can do. And again, it's style targeted. So the more you can put into styles, the better off you're going to be at that 11th hour when the customer says, hey, you know, oh, here's a great example. Watch this one, Tim. You'll like this.
Yeah.
Let's say that I finished this 1,000-page tourism guide and they put the word phone in the information about every restaurant, hotel, whatever. So it would say, it said phone, colon, and it was 816, blah, 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 blah. But now they've decided they don't want the word phone. They want an icon of a phone. They want a little picture of a phone. Yeah. It's a 1,000-page document. What do you want here? So what I do is I find a little, you know, art. It could be a dingbat of a phone. It could be an object, whatever. And then I type in the word phone colon, and I change it to, guess what? Are you ready? Other clipboard contents formatted. And I always take that object, I apply an object style to it, and I copy it to my clipboard. And then I can tell it to go find all instances of the word phone and then place that phone in there.
Okay,
but
cool.
I don't want to have it mess up the word phone that might be used somewhere else in the document, right?
Yeah.
So I click here and I say, but only do it on the style that is hotel info, right? Whatever style I created there. So now I don't risk putting little phones all through my narrative, right? Cool, huh?
That's fantastic. Here's some chat feedback. Unicorn says, wow.
Okay.
Sarah says, wow. Doris says, wow. Caroline says, wow. And Angus says, wow, wow, wow.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow.
Well, I'll show you one last thing, one last really quick one.
Wow.
This is so huge.
Sorry.
I use this all the time. I'm going to go to type text variables define. Okay. And so we have a lot of choices under text variables, but one of them that we have that's pretty cool is the ability to do a running header. And we can do this based on a character style or a paragraph style. Okay. So what I can do is, let's say, and I don't have an example right in front of me, I'm sorry, but basically I can, actually I do, but I can take and have the footer of every page be text that it pulls from a different paragraph style. So when it sees, hold on a second, File, open, I know I've got one. Here's it.
Oh, I'm saying wow.
Here you go. Nope. Okay, so for example, this says right here, right now, and this is empty. This is tied to, I think, where is that tied? It's been so long since I've messed with this, I don't remember what that's tied to. Let's just look. But anyway, here's an example of what, again, it's not there. Let's see if it's there. Nope. Anyway, so if I go to type, text variable define, I wasn't planning on showing this today, I just threw this in there. I can take that running footer down there, and I can have it, let's see what it is, running header right there, and it's looking for, sorry, Tim, where are you? It's been too long since I've messed with this document.
That's all right. We have more chat feedback. Dimitri says, wow. Yuya says, wow.
Well, and I'm ending on, I told you it was just gonna fade out. You know, it was just gonna be a big dud at the end. And that's what's happening here. I can't remember I didn't make notes to which of these styles triggers this footer here, but basically you can set this up to where whatever's here, let's just change this to Tim, well, let's just put wow.
Wow.
And notice that changes in the top right corner. Can you see that? When I change this, that changes, okay? Wow. And then if I go to this page, that changed. See, I put a space there. Let's get rid of that. And then if I go down here, that changes.
Wow.
Okay, so basically you can take with text variables and you tie these to whatever paragraph style this is, okay? And it looks for that, and whenever it sees it, it makes the edits up there in that running header or the running footer, whatever you tie it to, and that just automatically goes through the entire book. You don't have to page after page after page change that text when they make a last minute change. So there's another example. There's just some really neat hidden stuff that once you start using styles, not just for building faster and editing faster and for consistency, but there's all these like I just showed you, between table of contents and find change and running or text variables. There's some really neat stuff that's hidden in there that you'll go, oh, I'm so glad I use styles so I can, make that happen.
That's amazing.
And that's it.
Fantastic.
That's it.
I just have one word, and I think you know what it is. Amazing.
Well, here, let me just put that here.
Can we get some wows in the chat? Because Oliver says wow, Unicorn says wow in capital. And Julia says, holy smokes, I mean wow.
So just again, in closing, just to let you know that I really use this stuff. Yulia can vouch for the fact that I really use these things. She's been watching this project I'm on over the last week fall apart because the client just keeps making changes, and we're nearing the deadline. And it's really fun for me. I have to be honest with you. Some of the changes are really fun because they're so easy to make these global changes, and they have no idea that that you're able to make these in literally minutes. And they're apologizing. I'm really sorry, and you're like, well, it's going to take me a couple days. I mean, I don't say that, but it literally is some of the changes are just simple global changes like this. And it all starts with building that document properly from the very beginning and pushing those correct styles out. End of lecture. I'll stop lecturing now.
Amazing, because we're out of time anyway. And I would just like to also thank the chat. Dora says, thanks Russell and Tim for this big wow stream. So good, thank you. Ruth says wow. Sarah says wow. Kara says wow. Steve, since he's from New Zealand, he says mom, so it's upside down. Sandrine says wow.
So do they know what the word wow means? I mean, because it does it mean what I think it means, or is there something else going on, like a hidden meaning?
I think it's probably short for something.
Yeah. Well, I love being here today, Tim. Thank you, and thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
Maybe we do an InCopy show. Let's do a whole show about InCopy.
Yeah, I mean, you say this like we're not doing this, but I feel like Melanie, you should get on this InDesign. And
is she watching?
InCopy, probably.
If she's watching, let's do InCopy. Yeah.
It's going to be a whole week about InCopy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot.
But
okay.
for today,
that's
you. All the time we have. So thank you very much for joining us, and of course for you at home for watching. And if you're watching the replay, then I'm sorry you missed the live chat, and a lot of people are saying, wow, World of Warcraft. Yeah, that must be it. Thanks, Oliver and Sandrine. I was more thinking about words of wisdom. But we will be back on Friday with another UK stream with the one and only Liz Mosley, all about Halloween invites in Adobe Express. And of course...
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, less paragraph styles, but more Express content. So if you're looking for more paragraph styles, maybe you can watch some of the Digiversity streams. I'm sure you have lots and lots of them. Paragraph styles.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Tomorrow, there you go. So in the info tab above the chat, there's a link to the channel. Go ahead and give a follow, and see you tomorrow there. And we are also live next week with a special week back from Max, where we will talk about and show our favorite highlights and features, all about the Max conference. So if you have missed it, or if you're still watching all the replays, definitely tune in. But for today, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much for joining and watching. And we will see you on Friday. See
ya.
Bye.